Hey guys, Jared here. So I just done a video on the success leaders from Napoleon Hill down to Tony Robbins. Well, now this is going to be a different chain of thought leaders, and these people really came up with the idea of how powerful our mind is. And although the success leaders did as well, these guys kind of talked about it in a little different light. Their focus was today they would call it kind of law of attraction and the power of our thought, the power of our mind. And from reading all these classics that I've read, from as far as I can see, Ralph Waldo Emerson is kind of the grandfather of starting some of these thoughts through his essay called Self-Reliance. James Allen continues on in 1902 with a book called As a Man Thinketh. And this book right here, 1903, Wallace D. Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich, in my opinion, is the biggest book. And I'm kind of curious to know if Napoleon Hill read this book. I mean, he had to, but it never says this anywhere. This book is the like deepest truth that I feel I've ever read in my entire life. It's some really inspiring stuff and just on a whole different level that I've never imagined before. I'll in another video I'll go ahead and delve a little deeper into that one. There's a lot of content in there. Napoleon Hill actually goes under both categories. You know, this guy is a success person, but he was a very spiritual law of attraction. I mean, he went a lot deeper. Some of his more popular books, they actually had to edit them to make them more mainstream. Coming along here, 1952, Norman Vincent Peale creates The Power of Positive Thinking, which was a world famous book at the time. And a quick follow up from Ewell Anderson, The Magic of Thinking Big, which was very similar. You can tell that this guy has read the guys in front of him's books. It's very, very obvious. 1962, Joseph Murphy writes a book called The Power of the Subconscious Mind. And what I find interesting is that these people use different ways to kind of say the same thing. I mean, you know, you could say thinking big, positive thinking. This one talks about basically how much power we have in our subconscious, that it's the driving force and it's the trainable force. And if our conscious mind can train our subconscious what direction to go, we're going to have all these kind of powers. 1988, Paulo Coelho makes a story called The Alchemist, and it just goes crazy. And it's all about law of attraction, all about following your inner legend and all this kind of stuff. And some people enjoy the technical stuff. Not like this book is technical, Power Your Subconscious Mind, but The Alchemist is a story which allows everyone loves a story. Stories do really well in this era. Then Tony Robbins with Awaken the Giant Within, which is a famous book, and it's very kind of, about bringing in that inner power, that the positive thoughts. It's funny because him and Napoleon Hill both kind of fall under both categories. And lastly, the person who really made the law of attraction explode in 2006 is Rhonda Byrne when she came up with The Secret. And what gave me goosebumps is I was listening to her talk one time, and she said that her daughter gave her a book that was 100 years old that changed the way she thought about life forever. And what was crazy is that I instantly knew that that book she read was Wallace D. Wattles' Science to Getting Rich. And sure enough, I Googled it, looked it up, and she goes on to say that Wallace D. Wattles' Science to Getting Rich is the one book she read that totally changed her entire perspective on life. And now she's come up with The Secret, as long as a string of other books that has just exploded this type of thinking back into popular, the regular day. 'Cause I mean, people weren't reading in this day and age, not so much the Norman Vincent Peales or the Ewell Andersons or the even Wallace D. Wattles, but Rhonda Byrne really made this come back and be popular, and I'm very glad that she did. So hope you guys enjoyed this. All of these guys have excellent books. I recommend checking them out, and thank you for listening.